Welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to host this innovation showcase. It's sponsored by the Institute for Science, Entrepreneurship and Investment and hosted by a collaboration between WBAF Miami, GBA Miami, and of course, our strategic partner, Logos Capital. This innovation showcase, we hope, will serve as an excellent example of how the entrepreneurship ecosystem and multi-stakeholder partnerships can contribute to global efforts towards a more sustainable future by promoting and encouraging cutting-edge data-driven solutions that leverage emerging technologies to address key challenges such as climate change and ocean sustainability, given that we're in Miami. As you imagine, this has been a very important topic for us today. And also, we aim to augment other global efforts as well as local efforts. For those of you that might not be familiar, today in Miami, we have a lot of events. It's also Tech Week, not only Earth Day, and we have a conglomerate of events, I would say, that not only support entrepreneurship, but also multi-stakeholder partnerships to highlight that we must do this together. It's not possible to do it alone. So again, we had a huge number of submissions for the innovation showcase. And this morning we had a symposium where we had several keynotes, panel discussion. And now we're gonna, of course, highlight just a few innovation solutions because we couldn't show all of them, but we'll share over the next few weeks all the submissions that we're getting. So to kick us off, I would like to introduce our special guest. He's also part of Logos Capital, the CEO, who is our strategic partner. Please allow me to introduce Silvio Popocasco. He has also founded a new foundation, Logos Blue. So I'm excited to hear him share with you the details about that. But in a larger scheme, Silvio has been a board member for WBF Miami. He's also the lead for LATAM for the Government Blockchain Association. He's an investment committee member of the Social Venture Partners and ambassador for the City of Miami as Board of Mayors International Council. And he's an experienced leader, not only in the US, but also in other emerging markets across smart cities, banking, fintech, logistics, energy, and infrastructure industry verticals. He's active with several not-for-profit organizations in education, as well as affordable housing and disaster response. He has a global background from numerous years working across continents in Europe, LATAM, Caribbean, Asia, and we're excited to hear all the efforts you're doing for Earth Day, Silvio. Please go ahead.
Hey, Dr. Ingrid, thank you for having me here today. It's great to be with you and great job on the symposium. Obviously, very important that we continue to think about ways of using technology and data science to solve some of the most pressing issues of our time, namely, right, this coordinated effort to get to net zero. And on that effort, it's really important to consider that, 90% of the way, the path to get to net zero is just decarbonization at large. The other part of the equation to get to net zero are the carbon sinks, okay? And so this is a big part of what I think should be really highlighted during Earth Day, is this idea that not only do we have to put, if you have zero on one side of the equation and then you have emissions on one side, the other one is nature, the natural carbon sinks that are capturing and storing carbon permanently, from trees to mangroves, down to permanent sinks in agriculture and other things like this that we're still learning a lot about. Matter of fact. And that's why we started the Logos Blue Economy Foundation. And today I'm here in Miami-Dade College at the Wolfson campus, the largest college in the country here in the US. And we're coming together to kickstart the Miami Climate Collabothon. That is really an effort that is bringing together government on the public, federal government, local government, as well as local research universities, public and private, as well as the municipalities and the cities and the committee members that are on the Resilience Committee, that are on the Biscayne Bay Committee, right? So we can come all together. We're calling it a sunshine meeting because in Florida, if anybody gets together for a board, they have to declare it. And so we're coming together to accomplish three things this weekend: create a local climate tech hub that allows us to understand the data, the climate data that exists out there, so it becomes interoperable and machine readable, i.e. AI ready. The second thing is to think about how we can create an eco tour around Miami which is ground zero for a lot of these issues around climate, so that people and citizens and visitors can find fun ways to engage and protect the environment and learn about arts and history and culture while being encouraged to take maybe public transit and other things that let them lower their footprint and be rewarded as a result of it. And lastly is the Miamiverse, a metaverse for Miami that's extended reality, virtual reality, augmented reality, moving towards a digital twin for Miami that allows us to interact and understand and visualize these complex climate concepts in a way that's visually captivating. So that's our goal. Thank you so much for everything that's happening. Of course, the Innovation Showcase is an important part of how we can get existing solutions highlighted for Miami. And hopefully, if anybody wants to build new solutions, well, you're welcome to join us this weekend as we hack away from tonight through the weekend and through this Earth Week, ultimately. So it's great to be here. I'm excited about everyone with the Innovation Showcase. We have more exciting news coming up that Dr. Ingrid will be telling you about. Check out savemiami.org to find out more. Again, that's savemiami.org to find out more. And nothing. With that being said, happy Earth Day, everybody.
Thank you. We appreciate you joining us. We know you have a busy day and can't wait to see all the events that you are hosting today and recording later. Bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ingrid.
Wonderful. And now I would like to invite Daniel Ruperin. He has two roles. Please share both your roles in addition to the project today so that people know the important contributions you make in general, not only today for Earth Day.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity, Dr. Ingrid. My role right now is working with the executives in the World Metaverse Council to create an interoperable metaverse between different platforms, as well as we're launching what I'm going to be presenting today, a global metaverse initiative to connect businesses, cities, and people around the world to create a ecosystem that helps fund environmental projects. So I'm going to share my screen and begin the presentation. I'll make it really quick as soon as I can figure out which screen I'm going on. I believe that's the right one.
Perfect. We can see everything great.
Okay, let me move this across. So once again, thank you, Dr. Ingrid, for giving me the opportunity to present what the World Metaverse Council is doing. It's called MetaCop 28. We're launching it at COP28 this year in Dubai. Last year, we put on MetaCop 27, a metaverse pavilion area that showed how we can reproduce or reduce carbon imprints by having meetings in the metaverse instead of flying around all over the world. We showed that in the metaverse, we can still attend sessions, network, and engage with each other in a greener capacity. So MetaCop 28 will be launched at the we'll launch the Global Metaverse Project. It's an ambitious goal of connecting everyday businesses, cities, and countries with users in a multi-owned metaverse environment. The purpose behind the Global Metaverse is to create a framework that allows us to generate sustainable funding that will go towards environmental projects each year. So working and collaborating with other metaverses, we are developing a middle layer that will allow a user to walk from one city metaverse to another. And I say city metaverse because there are many different types of metaverses with different audiences. We are working towards building this network of cities that want their users to connect to each other and participate in a similar type of environment and commerce experience. So no different than how when you're checking out on Stripe or Amazon, it's a similar experience. When you go from one website to another, there's menu navigation. It's a similar experience. And we want to address that in the metaverse so that people have similar types of navigation so that it's more familiar to them. We want to do this while at the same time being able to control, for cities to be able to control, own, and customize a unique metaverse that represents their cultures, beliefs, and beauty. So we don't want to own the metaverse. We want to give the tools for people to create their own metaverse to connect with everyone globally. So the game plan is to create this template structure. The World Metaverse Council comprises of over 1,000 members around the world with experts specializing in different areas of the metaverse studies and Web3 technologies. As a collective, we are creating template procedures, regulations, strategies that cities and businesses and organizations can use to create their own metaverse, while at the same time connect to other metaverses within our global community. So what does that mean, template? Well, let's take a look at something like education. We will be providing cities and institutions templates on how education and gamification can be used to enhance learning, how to make education available to people everywhere, how accreditation through the blockchain can be recognized in an instant. Jobs and businesses. The metaverse will open up brand new job opportunities in positions that we haven't even thought about yet. So as these new job opportunities are created, we'll be positioning to make sure that every city has the same chance to embrace the potential inside the metaverse and give people also the opportunity to apply for jobs anywhere in the world and work in the metaverse, even train in the metaverse. We'll be creating the format and space to allow anyone to enter the metaverse as easily as they can right now on the web. And then, of course, entertainment and games will be the driving force for adoption. Integrating an exciting experience combined with gaming, reward points, and the ability to redeem points in the real world will be part of everything we offer cities and businesses. So we're going to show them how to do this. But beyond that, we want to provide the environment where new as well as experienced musicians, artists, entertainers, and game developers have an easy and inexpensive way to showcase their work with an access to a worldwide audience. So everything we just went through is to bring the users into the metaverse, but we know once they're there, they're going to look for something familiar. A lot of people who are currently on Sandbox, Decentraland, Somnium Space are there because it's something that excites them. But the reality is there are billions of people in the world who don't understand the metaverse. And for us to bring them aboard, we have to give them an incentive. We have to give them the desire. So part of that is to work with cities, and those cities that embrace the opportunity of promoting their signature attractions, as well as their lesser known popular areas, can take advantage of enhanced virtual reality marketing in the form of AR, VR, and AI infused avatars with tourism information. So we can combine everything together. So when it comes to climate funding, why is this all put together? Well, we know that it takes money to make things happen and to influence governments. So the global metaverse is being built with a funding mechanism. It's no different than what banks, credit card companies do, or tech companies do when they charge a transaction fee. Within our connected metaverse, every financial transaction will incur a small transaction fee. And with the use of audited smart contracts and with blockchain transparency, we can show where money goes and how it is being used. And by creating a global DAO, anyone that has made a purchase inside the metaverse will have a vote on what projects get funded. So how do we make this all happen? Well, the World Metaverse Council is currently in talks with organizations and governments around the world in a collaborative effort to collectively launch over the next 2 years the global metaverse strategy. At COP28, we will plant the seed of a global metaverse by launching one of the first set of interoperable metaverses working together to bring awareness to climate projects. And that's what MetaCop28 is. We will showcase environmental projects from around the world, highlighting the fight that's going on and what actions are being done in a 3D engaging environment. And then in 2024, we'll continue to onboard cities with the help of our global partners. Cities using our middle layer and APIs and integration kits will be able to develop quickly and connect their worlds to each other. We endeavor to create an inclusive, educational and engaging metaverse that drives tourism to these cities and stimulate local business economies for the purpose to drive transactions to help fund environmental projects. Cities can choose any metaverse development company to create their world, knowing that they will be part of the global community. And then finally, in the summer of 2025, with a target of 50 interoperable city metaverse globally, we will set out to launch the world's first global metaverse series of concerts and competitive online game. We will raise $1 billion to go towards climate initiatives around the world. And this is being raised through transaction fees, not through donations. We are setting this up in the hopes that this will make the metaverse a globally accepted technology and space to experience. Dr. Ingrid, thank you very much for the time to present what we're doing, and we appreciate any comment and feedback from this.
Thank you for the presentation. You already got a great comment Silvio recommended for Miami to join you first. We
Yes,
want the
please.
Miami-verse. Miami has entertainment, tourism. We were one of the first cities to be part of the World Smart City Economic Development Council. We have City of Doral, who is very strong in smart cities. We have City of Coral Gables, who is also partner city with several organizations for smart city development. So Metaverse is the next logical iteration.
Would
So
love
let's
to
collaborate.
connect. Yes, would love to
And-
connect and bring you on board. Thank
And
you.
again, congratulations for the effort, and also looking forward to your big event Wednesday. You want to share a little bit your Wednesday event so that we can
Yes, so Wednesday,
others.
so part of the World Metaverse Council is to actually build a Metaverse campus that will show all the different technologies and web companies that are being part of this project. So we're doing a sneak peek on Wednesday. We're going to collaborate with other metaverses to showcase what we're doing. We'll be talking about what we're doing here, and the goal is to launch by end of May publicly this campus and bring on board more collaborative entities and projects into this world. Thank you
That's
very much.
great. Thank you so much. Dr. Scott Kelly, are you ready?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
My
we
wife
hear you
Jill.
well.
Yes,
Nice to meet you.
great. It's a pleasure. I'm sorry about the difficulty getting on. The link didn't work, but let me.
We can't hear you so well. Just don't move so much. Yeah.
Share the screen.
We can't hear you. That's the only problem. You want to stop and call back in a few minutes? Okay, we can see the screen. We just can't hear you well. The audio is poor. For our audience, I'm just going to introduce Dr. Scott Kelly. He's the CEO of Safeguard Surgical and inventor of the LeakGuard, a biodegradable stent. And he's a renowned cancer surgeon with almost 30 years of experience. A graduate of Dartmouth College and Columbia University Medical School, Dr. Kelly completed his general surgery residency at the University of Pennsylvania and his surgical oncology fellowship at the Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa. Dr. Kelly is an advanced gastrointestinal surgeon specializing in minimally invasive and robotic surgery to treat conditions of the esophagus, stomach, small bowel, colon, pancreas, and liver. He has published extensively in clinical and scientific journals. Today, he will contribute to our innovation showcase with a medical product, which we don't often hear about. We're always focusing on other industry verticals. So we wanted to also highlight the opportunity for healthcare, which is actually quite a large contributor to pollution, to share how we can advance net zero in healthcare. Dr. Kelly, hopefully we can hear you well now. Try again.
Okay, we'll give it my best shot here. Thank you so much and happy Earth Day to everyone. I appreciate the opportunity, Dr. Ingrid. So I am as you mentioned, a cancer surgeon by training, and it was actually the reason my wife was here with me is she's a co-founder because she's actually the inventor of a biodegradable stent that is meant to be placed inside the intestine at the time of surgery to help protect patients from surgical leaks. The reason that this is important for our environment is that all of the modalities that we use in medicine are disposable. All of the stents that exist currently are not biodegradable. Our solution is a new, net zero carbon type solution where it's placed in the body and it slowly dissolves over time and doesn't add to our carbon footprint. The company that we founded was based on the fact that surgical leaks whenever you remove a piece of the intestine, we concentrated first and foremost on the rectum because it has the highest leak rate. So there are 600,000 colectomies for rectal cancer performed in the United States each year. And the highest leak rate, whenever you cut the rectum and put it together, it has the highest leak rate, somewhere between 10 and 30% actually leak. And what that causes a surgeon to do is to give a patient a diverting colostomy as a temporary measure. The patient has to live with these ostomies for 6 months. The amount of ostomy supplies that a patient goes through is a huge, enormous waste to our environment. And a patient has to live with these ostomies for 6 months at a time before they then have to undergo another operation to reverse the ostomy and then get back to their life as normal. Our solution is elegant. It's basically placing, instead of performing the ostomy in the first place, at the time of surgery, at the time of resection, to place this simple biodegradable material inside the intestine to protect that area that you sew together in order to avoid leakage. And that's the whole reason we give these ostomies in the first place. It's to divert stool away from this area while it heals. So our solution actually protects the area during that critical healing phase, and then slowly dissolves over time and does not need to be removed. We estimate that the total addressable market for this product is $4.5 billion, and that's only for rectal cancer. And we believe that this product is completely scalable and that we can actually use it throughout the GI tract, throughout the biliary tract, and throughout the urologic tract. I think it's going to change the way we approach surgery in the future. There are a couple of competitors that are very early stage as well that are looking to get into this market as well, but they don't have a biodegradable solution here. So what they're using is plastic, and it is something that needs to be removed and then becomes part of our medical waste. The great thing about our stent is we place it and you leave it, it dissolves and gets excreted into the feces as and passes naturally. So we are currently in a very early stage of development. We have just we have a prototype that we have coupled with a medical grade biodegradable material manufacturer to make our working prototype. We've just completed a proof of concept in a large animal study, and we've done remarkably well. The pigs did we did these in Yucatan pigs, and the pigs did extremely well. You can see these are intraoperative photos. Up in the top right, you can see the stent in the area of the anastomosis. You can see the anastomosis is very loosely closed, so basically it's a leak waiting to happen, and the animals did extremely well. This is a colonoscopic view right after the operation to show that the stent is in place and covering the anastomosis. We have data from our first week that the stents are held up nicely, and by the second week they were completely disintegrated and gone, and that's exactly what we were hoping. These are we actually utilized our colleagues at Harvard at the Harvard Biotechnology Club to help us with this deck and to help us with some of the total addressable market. And I asked them to get some testimonials from the physicians throughout the Harvard system. Every surgeon that I speak to, every GI doctor that I speak to, they are absolutely incredulous about this idea. They really believe that it's a huge way to save healthcare costs, to help the environment, and to help patients. I want to thank you for your time, and it was just a great opportunity to present here today. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And again, for our audience that might not be familiar, the United States actually has double the rate of pollution and gas house emissions generated by healthcare. So it's highly relevant. I recently wrote an article in Forbes about net zero healthcare, and a lot of people reached out stating that they were never aware that healthcare is such a big contributor. Everybody just thinks about traditional industrial contributors. So thank you again for your contribution. I was excited to see a healthcare product because again, we're usually flooded with all other industries. So thank you for making time. We know you're traveling, but appreciate your contribution, and congratulations to both of you for that. Great.
Thank you. Yeah, we look like we believe this is going to change the way we approach healthcare. We're very excited about it, but thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Congrats to both of you for the invention. Thank you. And now please allow me to introduce our next guest. I'm sure you're going to be equally excited. As we know, the transition to net zero, like we highlighted earlier today in the symposium, requires strong leadership and education. And our next speaker will highlight her contributions and what she's doing across the world to be able to accomplish that. Just a few highlights from your bio, if I may, Jackie. I know you have a long bio that would take us the whole innovation showcase, so I'll just highlight a few. Jackie was named one of the top 15 most influential women in UK technology and top inspiring women in cyber. She was awarded an honorary doctorate in science in recognition of her international web science work on inclusion of the industrial IoT in the ecosystem. She was also recently invited to speak in Davos on the future of cybersecurity. She's an expert advisor to the European Commission in a fire starter role for the future digital economy, so relevant for our event, with a specific focus on innovation and improving the health and well-being for so many citizens around the world. She's globally recognized as a smart city star, which I love. Maybe we convert you to Empress, but star is a male term. And a strategic advisor to the UK government, cities lead on Digital Build Britain, principal UK expert that's leading the BSI International Team for Technology, and I could go on and on. But today you're here as CEO and founder of Flying Binary. So why don't you share with our audience the amazing contribution you have for everybody that cares about net zero?
Thank you for inviting me, Dr. Ingrid. I'm absolutely delighted to be here, and happy Earth Day, everybody. Will it be okay for me to share my screen?
Please do.
Okay. Please bear with me. I'm visually disabled and neurodiverse, so the tech is a must for me. Please let me know when you can see that screen.
All great, perfectly clear, and your audio is good.
Thank you. So good afternoon, I'm Dr. Jackie Taylor, and I'm co-founder of Flying Binary, and our company delivers on an equity agenda. And what I mean by that is to leave no one behind. How we do that is we build the technology to leverage the industrial Internet of Things with deep tech. We work predominantly in the secret and the military secret domain, and our deep technology provides part of the European security response. And the impact of the work that Dr. Ingrid outlined there, so far we've positively impacted over half the world's population. I also fly the UK flag across the world in my role as a science diplomat, evidence-based for change. And what I've done over the last few years is evidence the negative impact our tech sector is having on climate change. And I've created the resources for every technology company to understand that impact and reverse it. But first of all, I want to give you a context for this work. As pioneering web scientists, we set up the company in 2009, predominantly because the industrial Internet of Things is an engineering challenge, but for the first time, has a societal impact. Our focus since we founded has been Generation Z, who influenced 40% of the economic power back in 2020, and today make up 30% of our global workforce. But when I stood on that Davos stage to talk about the future of the cybersecurity industry, I'll give you a clue, there wasn't a future. And that's really our work as we transition to supporting the technology deployment for Generation Alpha, who are between the ages of 20 and 10 today. My youngest climate entrepreneur is a blue entrepreneur, and he's 3 years old. All of the services that we provide in our deep tech world are secured and accredited, interoperable services using a new trust model. And that's a key thing. And we're one of only 119 suppliers that are authorized to supply His Majesty's government in the UK with AI services. I'm now actually returned as a member of the UK's Cabinet Office, this time appointed by the UK's Parliament, to deliver open standards, which is how we'll unlock that equity agenda across the UK. I do want to just check in with the audience on this. I don't want to teach everybody to suck eggs, but deep tech as a concept was Swati Chaturvedi, who's the co-founder and CEO of Propel. And deep tech companies like ours are based on substantial scientific advances, in our case, 24 years of web science research, and high-tech engineering innovation. Both the co-founders are engineers. I'm an aerospace engineer, my co-founder's an electrical engineer. And the thing that is true about our deep tech companies is we have lengthy R&D, a long time to reach commercial applications, and often require large investments to achieve commercial success, so that growth curve. But the underlying IP of our deep tech is usually well protected, and it's hard to reproduce. And that means that there is a strong barrier to entry for anybody else trying to do what we do. But to put Flying Binary in that context, we've never taken investment in the 14 years since we founded. I'm known as the bootstrapping queen, and we were profitable in month one. So we're a different sort of deep tech company. I need to tell you about this. On our journey, I co-founded the data journalism industry with the editor of The Guardian. My role in that industry is a futurist. And today, as I'm speaking, we're supporting over 15,000 Ukrainian organizations and have been since 10th of February 2022. And our journalists today are on the front line documenting Russian war crimes. And this book is a primer for our PhD journalists and signaled a reboot of our industry and the start of the new journalism curricula. And my chapter explains the web science work we do, the deep tech we use for data journalism, and includes His Majesty's government case study for the transformation of service provision in the UK's health sector. Health is one of my key passions. And that has led us to have 34 million citizens across the world who consume the journalism that we publish and interact with our cloud platforms, but they inform the research that we do. And so with our deep tech, we're now able to bring the unheard voices across the world to the tables of power that we work at. And this is a vital resource for us as a company, because it actually helps us understand the fabric of the societal change that is being made. The journalists won the first Pulitzer Prize for journalism. And as Dr. Ingrid said, I was awarded an honorary PhD for that work. But things didn't go well after that. In 2018, a series of incidents related to security issues and privacy breaches led to industrial Internet of Things being questioned across the world. Now, at the time, I was an advisor to both the UK and the Chinese governments on the Smart Cities agenda. And I produced a series of press articles with journalist colleagues, and that resulted in me being named the world's first Smart City czar. Yeah, not Tsarina. You make a good point there, Ingrid. And this really started my work to understand the evidence base of the risk as a technology industry we're creating across our world. One of those risks, of course, is climate change. And the reason this is important is smart cities are the future hubs of business. They're where we all live. And they are the foundation for the United Nations 2030 plan. And smart cities and the technology that's being deployed there is responsible for 60% of the emissions across the world when we look at it globally. I've been working with the 17 UN agencies since April 2020 to actually bring this evidence base beyond the G20 and the EU 27 in the UK, and unlock the sustainability impact of technology transformation so that we can make sure we are not making things worse by deploying climate tech and any of the other deep tech that we're using. But it's more complex than any of the net zero work I've ever done. And Flying Binary is now recognized by the UN as a high-level climate leader because of that evidence base and the climate commitments we've made ourselves. We'll be net zero by 2035. I can ratchet that up by at least 5 years, but I can't get the tech sector to move quickly enough. So if they move faster, I'm ready to move faster too. But our tech sector produced between 2 and 3% of the global emissions in 2021. Our impact as a technology industry is as bad as global aviation. We always see aviation as being the bad guys in this, but our tech industry is just as bad. And worse, our emissions are rising by 9% annually. And only 18% of our tech industry has a sustainable IT strategy with clear goals and timelines. And 33% of those that have that strategy have no grasp of their scope 3 emissions. And those emissions are between 40 and 80% of everything we create. So I changed that. I've partnered with LinkedIn. I've released a technology and sustainability course to get every one of their 900 million members access to the resources that we in Flying Binary use ourselves to become high-level climate leaders, and to enable them to become climate champions, to make their businesses sustainable and to help contribute to reversing the impact of climate change for our technology industry. And I'm here today to give you and your networks the chance to do exactly the same. So this is a screenshot of the course. I've gone beyond carbon. Just doing carbon is not going to be enough. I've included the other 6 greenhouse gases. If you're a LinkedIn premium subscriber, the deal I've done is the course is free. If you're not, if you're just you're not a subscriber, the course is £25 for life, and everybody gets accessible resources. That's the equity agenda that we build our mission on at Flying Binary. You can learn anytime, you can learn anywhere, it's available across devices, and you get a certificate to complete that you've actually looked through that evidence base for you. Lifetime access for everyone. And the thing that none of the other LinkedIn learning instructors tend to do is access to me to support your climate change journey. If you struggle, I'm there for you. Thank you for listening. If every technology business does a little, we can solve climate change. And I would like to ask you all to make Earth Day 2023 the day you become that person, that company that makes that commitment to become a climate champion too.
Thank you. Thank you for such an inspirational presentation, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with all our networks, and I'm sure everybody's gonna be very interested in joining the free opportunity you mentioned, as well as the very good price for those that are not LinkedIn subscribers. Thank you so much. And I think we have a lot of synergy, so I can already tell that a lot of audience members that will listen to this later from various networks will want to connect with you, because we can maybe engage some of your educational materials in many other networks where it would complement our mission and vision. Thank you.
I'm hopeful for that, Dr. Ingrid, and I've actually put the link to those resources I mentioned so you can get access to everything in the chat. So please feel free to distribute that with whatever you do. And thank you again for the opportunity to present today. I'm delighted to be part of your innovation showcase.
Thank you, and we're grateful for your time and contribution as well. And now, please allow me to just share a brief update for the audience members that joined a little later. So what we've done so far are the presentations that were in person. Now we're gonna do a brief acknowledgement of 2 organizations that have done amazing contributions at a global level. So we concluded the live presentations, as I mentioned. We heard from Logos Blue Foundation. We heard from Daniel from the World Metaverse Council. We heard about the biodegradable stent from Dr. Scott Kelly and his wife, who are both co-founders of this innovative solution. And then we heard just now from Jackie about the amazing services that Flying Binary does. Now I would like to acknowledge 2 organizations that are making tremendous contributions at a global level. One is Premios Verdes. For those of you that might not be familiar, they're an international organization whose vision and mission is to identify startups that dedicate themselves to net zero. So every year they host not only innovation awards for net zero, and this year, for instance, exactly this week, and that's why they couldn't be here today, they are having their national awards, and they identified 33 startups, all of them amazing, that are contributing to the net zero economy and are helping change the current paradigm. I would like to highlight one of their startups that's amazing, that is using nanotechnology. So any picture you take, their nanotechnology is embedded and contributes to carbon emissions. So again, a very simple, easy to use, democratizing access to net zero, if you will, solution that is very low cost. So for those of you that are interested, I'll share a lot of those finalists over the next few days. The other company I wanted to just highlight and acknowledge is the Global Investment Impact Alliance and its leader, Santosh, who's been relentless through heroic efforts over the last few years with numerous initiatives. But this one is the latest one, and the Global Investment Impact Alliance, as you can see on the screen, is a network and coalition of angel investors, venture capitalists, and institutional investors dedicated to advancing the principles and practices of impact investing. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is all of you are aware the global theme for Earth Day is, of course, to invest in the planet. So as we've highlighted this morning during the symposium, the global landscape from a scientific perspective, legal perspective, education perspective, now we're highlighting also solutions. We earlier heard also about entrepreneurship ecosystem, everything that's happening. but we need funding for that. So that's why this event is also sponsored by various key stakeholders that are representing this ecosystem. And the Global Investment Impact Alliance, just like us at WBAF and many other organizations, are trying to find creative financial instruments to help all startups accomplish this goal. And now we're going to move to the next session. We have a few video presentations, so please bear with me while I share their videos. They're amazing. One of them is related to water. They've won also numerous international awards. Then one about financial inclusion, an e-wallet that contributes to climate change. And then also the last one, SustainChain. They're also presenting today in Finland on the world stage for climate change. So that's why they couldn't be here with us, but we're excited to at least share with you their tremendous opportunity. So what I'm gonna do now is share briefly some of the videos in series so that you can enjoy and understand their contribution. Just allow me one tiny second. So the first one I'll share on the screen will be the water product solution that's aiming to address, of course, everything that we see around the world in the areas where no water is available.
Enterprise that removes barriers of access to clean water, sanitation, and hygiene in underserved and impoverished communities to reduce poverty and promote gender equity. We are solving a problem that billions of people all over the world face, and that is the lack of access to clean water, which is the leading cause of diseases, poor health and hygiene in rural Zimbabwe. To solve this problem, my company installs solar water systems with intentional water placement within the communities to benefit women and girls so they don't have to spend hours collecting water. With our solution, they spend almost 0 hours collecting water. This gives them time to advance their lives, careers, and save them unhygienic conditions. We use a scientific approach to install water systems in the communities by working with science and technology institutions to collect samples, test for quality, detect reservoirs, and collect geological data. From this, we know whether to dig, restore reservoirs, or install above ground water systems. This approach prevents us from guessing the presence and quality of water and prevents assumptions of community preferences. After each installation of water system, we test for quality. We are currently developing sensors to check for quality of water over time and collect data real time. This means that we can be proactive and respond faster to problems before they even occur. To date, we have served over 100,000 people in rural Zimbabwe and have helped these communities to become water secured. Infant mortality reduced to 0, school attendance of girls who did not have water for their sanitary needs increased by 100%. Access to clean water is paramount to achieving healthy and equitable lives.
Thank you. Just one moment. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this one. And then now I will share the next one, which is the financial solution and SustainChain. 1 second. You should be able to see the screen in 1 second. It's very brief.
Future tomorrow. And now it's up to all of us, together, to make it our reality. Brands and NGOs are working to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. But we need to go faster. And now we can with SustainChain, the world's first Sustainable Development Goals accelerator. Powered by a partnership between the US Coalition on Sustainability and ThoughtWorks, SustainChain is a platform that uses the best of digital technology and machine learning to unite the players, actions, and funding needed to rapidly rebuild supply chains and meet the SDGs. Here's how. After setting up your profile and sharing the sustainability challenges you're most focused on, SustainChain becomes an engine for fueling faster, more concerted action and enabling new connections and partnership opportunities. Each time you come back to SustainChain, you'll see a live and dynamic feed of opportunities to explore, relevant projects to join, discover new partners, and find new solutions to explore. You can learn more about members and companies within and across industries who share your SDG focus. You can also create and share a new action initiative to tackle an unaddressed gap and tap into the community to find what you need to succeed. Funding, innovations, experts, all with a touch of a finger. SustainChain dynamically notifies you of new connection requests, projects, and opportunities to join. The chain is expanding rapidly with new partners across industries, stakeholders, and SDGs, all contributing to the collective intelligence that grows exponentially as the community does. And now we as citizens can join the chain too. With SustainChain, citizens can connect directly with their favorite brands and encourage them to take action on the issues that matter most to them, and urge their local representatives in Congress to do the same. As our community grows, so will our ability to accelerate action and progress toward the Sustainable Development Goals. It's time to join the chain to build a sustainable future together.
So once again, just like we highlighted earlier, the opportunities exist for all of you to join forces, not only the Metaverse, but also here you have an app and the SustainChain platform that can actually amplify what all of us are doing in net zero. So the last one I wanted to share is a video from Bhuva Shakti. 1 second. She sent us a video that highlights what WalletMax is doing currently, and you'll enjoy that as well because it's a product that can highlight financial inclusion. So just 1 second. You should be able to see it in 10 seconds.
Hey everyone, thanks for connecting today. I'm the Chief Ethics and Culture Officer at Women in AI, a global nonprofit community for diverse leaders in artificial intelligence and data science. As a Senior Director at GIIA Financial Services, I manage multinational teams and clients in the investment banking, capital markets risk, and regulatory compliance verticals. I'm a transformation executive, leading and expanding international client accounts. I integrate finance, technology, and management pillars. I've worked across 4 continents with upwards of $100 million in revenue. I predominantly partner with CEOs, CFOs, and CTOs for digital and cloud initiatives with a special emphasis on mergers and acquisitions between global banks and their regional business unit within the fintech sector. At WalletMax, combining my 25 years of corporate executive and nonprofit C-suite experience, I partner exclusively with women-led startups to grow their social impact and revenue simultaneously in climate innovation, economic inclusion, and ethical enterprise operations. As we all know, and especially post-pandemic, there's a rapid adoption of artificial intelligence and machine learning in all industries, especially the financial services sector. New data sources have opened up numerous possibilities, making decisions based on alternative data, for example, your social status, your second and third level contacts, home infrastructure, etc., to accelerate business adoption. However, also it impacts objectivity in decisions. For example, Due to algorithmic bias, women who have historically encountered unconscious bias are excluded from financial system. There's a $17 billion gender credit cap that prevents 1 billion women moving away from unbanked and underbanked status. So unbanked means they don't have basic digital access to use a financial product. Underbanked means they have some digital access, but they are financially disadvantaged. For example, denied credit access by their local banks. Recent research by Visa has also proven that gender bias in credit scoring algorithms negatively impacts women, and it's cyclical. Their families, their small businesses, their communities, local economies, and so on. So this is the impact of gender bias in credit scoring algorithms. Now, taking it one step forward, we also know that another area where women are marginally impacted is in establishing a legal digital identity. With accelerated transformation post-pandemic, there's a lot more data being shared than ever. And as a result, there's increase in data breaches, even though we have regulations like GDPR in Europe that prioritizes opt-ins versus CCPA in the US that prioritizes opt-outs. We know that by 2024, 50% of data concerning women will use AI, ML, and NLPs. And it's critical to build financial systems that give consumers the confidence to share data with consent and in turn trust AI. AI benefits even beyond the improved decision-making when we eliminate bias in data, and also drives efficient enterprise cultures and strengthens teams, and of course, financial benefits. In a recent study at MIT, there was 75% increase in newer and more accurate performance drivers. Integrating AI into their continuous processes has increased decision fairness by 65%, thus boosting the overall culture and morale by 80%. However, AI adoption depends on trust. It could be from insufficient diverse data sets or bias in data, basically quality of data that determines the performance of algorithms, and in turn, accuracy of KPIs targeted. Building this culture of AI within finance should be top-down, driven from the CFO organization, and we should ensure every stakeholder is fully educated about the ethical standards and governance being inherent to the organization's mission and values. We need to make sure that every financial decision impacting women's lives and the broader population as a whole starts and ends with data, its quality, and integrity throughout. We need to break down fragmented data silos, right? So this is going to foster a culture across all departments, enable open and comprehensive data sharing, and that will build AI trust within the organization. More importantly, it's critical to ensure all stakeholders are part of the algorithm implementation and training. Lastly, we should establish transparent ethical standards in the entire AI cycle, be nimble to industry shifts, and reward unbiased cross-functional decisions. Beyond data quality and transparency in governance that we saw earlier, to eliminate bias in banking algorithms like credit scoring, especially within fintechs, AI and ML is being adopted in every department, from customer service and marketing to wealth management and global trading, right? So this has increased complexity around data oversight and accountability, even when the financial services sector is heavily regulated. The functioning of AI ML algorithms are opaque. For example, bias in insurance pricing, which significantly denies approvals for women compared to similar men. Responsibility is one of the core issues of AI ethics. The question is, who's responsible for decisions from complex bias in data and algorithms that impact everyday people's lives across all the financial transactions? When an algorithm is making decisions, whether to grant credit or loan or approve insurance, etc., the customers should be made aware of its machine making the decision, right? And secondly, how it arrived at that. It's never acceptable for fintechs to say, The computer says no, hence denying access to billions of women from their financial rights like men. There should be 100% traceability in type of data used, primary or alternative. How did they get access to these? Did the women consent? Some financial institutions are behind commercial sensitivity clause. That may mean they don't have to disclose how the decision was made. So how do we achieve balance and eliminate bias? We should integrate professional bankers as stakeholders into AI data and algorithm training. So a couple of years back, a tech entrepreneur went public when he got a credit limit 20 times higher than his wife, even though she had a higher credit score, and they filed joint tax returns. The investigation came up with credit card companies' algorithm being at fault, and there were no major bank liabilities otherwise. So do we blame the algorithm for denying access to finance for women? And it's the same for racial discrimination or any other discrimination for that matter, right? So fintechs and even large banks should immediately increase data and AI process transparency to customers. Of course, not all proprietary logic. And also I'm a big believer in human integrated technology systems. So we should mitigate AI ML risks due to bias. How do we do this? We can build alert systems that flag unusual or unexpected action. We should keep humans in the loop, and all the final decisions like credit approval for women should be authorized by humans, taking in AI inputs. But also we should remember to train our employees to prevent unconscious bias and make these a distributed responsibility, right? So there is a potential to have bias in the human systems as well. So regulatory reporting is another channel. We should implement strict standards for ethics and data and integrate all data sources for comprehensive reports. Lastly, model risk management, right? So I come from a risk background. So beyond just credit risk or market risk, I think it's important to build a repository of all the models with ethical governance and oversight within your organization. We should build bias mitigation strategies through pre-processing, in-processing, and post-processing. Let's say, for example, if the data is not diverse, to include all gender, race, ethnicities, and so on, then the AI teams should have flexibility to reassess data before running algorithms. During in-processing, there should be penalties on undesired biases. For example, women should be accepted at the same rate as men, not less, not more, right? So it should be 50-50. And in post-processing, there should be specific models that double-check and eliminate bias based on the original model's output for credit scoring. Now, coming to climate change, it's not going to be in isolation because we are seeing socio-economic impact of climate risks that are already manifesting across all geographies, right? In a recent McKinsey research, we find that these will likely be non-linear as system thresholds are breached, and there will be knock-on effects, right? So it's a ripple effect and it intensifies. So climate change affects human life as well as the factors of production on which our economic activity is based, right? And by extension, the preservation and growth of wealth, it becomes an economic crisis in addition to a social crisis. McKinsey had measured the impact of climate change by the extent to which it could disrupt or destroy stocks of capital. It could be anything, human capital, physical capital, natural capital, but the resultant socioeconomic impact of that disruption or destruction has a significant impact again on the GDP, and in turn, a direct impact on the stocks of capital, right? So such impact can be globally classified across 5 impact areas. Number 1, it impacts livability and workability, right? So climate risk is not just associated to some environment challenge, but it's going to affect people's livelihoods and their day-to-day professions and personal lives. it's going to impact the food systems, right? There could be shortage or not enough food in certain areas, and there could be an imbalance. We are also experiencing physical assets, right? So there could be challenges in infrastructure, living places. For example, a particular place could become very hot that people are migrating away from that place. We may have global warming, so people are getting, let's say, health challenges and so on and so forth. So we also need to pay attention to the infrastructure services. So we are planning infrastructure, hoping people are going to settle in a certain location, but people are migrating due to climate challenges, right? So that becomes a ripple effect in terms of building infrastructure where people might not be there, but people are migrating to a location where infrastructure might not be up to speed. And lastly, natural capital. We know, right? We have very severe weather patterns these days across the globe. We've been tracking that for the past few years. It's getting intense every year. So there is a huge impact on the natural capital as well. As you can see, by 2050, we think there is a 2 to 4 times amount of capital loss, and also 45% approximate land area will be impacted to be uninhabitable. Also, at least close to 1.2 billion people may have some migration issues, livelihood issues, right? So that's literally a lot of people in the world. So within WalletMax, what we do is we advance social impact innovation, climate tech, and women-led startups. We leverage artificial intelligence currently, and we are also working with blockchain, but not to a lot at the moment. The goal is to expand in the next couple of years. We are very well aligned with the UN Sustainable Goals. We think there is a $2 billion market share, at least in the United States, where we are piloting at the moment, of climate businesses that are experiencing loss of customers and revenues to large franchisees in local communities, especially owned by women and non-binary communities. They lack financial capital, human capital for expanding and acquiring customers. So at WalletMax, our goal is to solve these challenges for small businesses and startups, especially in the climate and sustainable space, and women-led or non-binary led. And we offer exclusive loyalty reward programs that are affordable and sustainable. So we
Thank you to Buva for sharing these important highlights and the progress that WalletMax has made. The full video will be available on social media. We unfortunately have to conclude the event today, but once again, I wanted to thank all our participants, everyone that shared their projects. We will try to upload them and share them over the next coming days. And also for those of you that presented today during this showcase, we are grateful for your insights and dedication to the cause. I would also like to thank our sponsor, Institute STAY, as well as, of course, the collaborative partners, University of Miami, WBAF Miami, and GIIA Miami. And once again, we're gonna share this in our internal network as well as on social media, and all of you will be tagged. Thank you again. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day.